Set boundaries, find peace. Can boundaries really set you free? Hey, Jay Williams here, and welcome to another Pocket Coaching. Now, I realize for a lot of people, they might not even know what a boundary is because most people don't actually realize they have a boundary issue. So let me just define what is a boundary. This is straight out of Google. So in psychology, a boundary is a line, often an invisible one, that defines the limits of a person or group's personal space, needs, and preferences within a relationship or interaction. It essentially establishes what is considered acceptable and unacceptable behavior or interaction in a particular context. Now, for me, boundaries are essentially your limits of what you're willing to put up with. And I think that's really important to get. It's what you're willing to put up with. Now, why are these important? Well, boundaries help to protect a number of things, but certainly your mental, physical, and emotional health. And the way they actually do that is when you have solid boundaries, you'll experience reduced anxiety and stress. You'll experience improved emotional regulation. You'll find yourself preventing burnout because you have healthy boundaries around your time. It will help you to enhance your self-esteem. You'll feel like you're in control of your life. It'll help you with increasing your productivity, establishing clear expectations with other people in relationships, maybe even your clients. It'll help improve your communication skills. And it'll also enhance this sense of control or autonomy. And you'll feel like you're the person leading your life and you're not being dictated by other people's needs and other people's terms. Now, to give you some examples of what might potentially be some boundary issues, let me just share some. So if you have a pattern of being overcommitted, if you are somebody who's all work and no play, and you might describe yourself as out of balance in life, you might feel like you're burnt out. You might feel like you're not in control. You might feel like you're charging less than what you should. You might be letting people get away with not paying invoices for a period of time. You might be checking your emails constantly or your social media or your phone. You might be being on your phone doing work stuff if you have children while you're with your partner or your kids. You might be letting people walk all over you. You might be under-delivering. You might be doing everything, even if you have a team. You might be unproductive. And you might be responding to client communications late in the evenings, their calls, their text messages, their WhatsApps, on social media in the evenings or on the weekends. And those are just a small percentage of the different boundary issues I see within my clients. Now, you'll typically know when a boundary has been crossed. It will be very, very clear to you, but now I'm going to open your eyes to it. If you feel feelings of anger, if you feel feelings of frustration, if you feel feelings particularly of resentment, you notice this a lot in relationships. If you experience yourself being triggered in some way, that should be a huge red flag to you that there's potential that someone has crossed one of your boundaries. They might have trampled all over your values in some way. And that is going to create an emotional response. So always follow the emotions. Now, when we typically experience this, this is normally a sign. It's beautiful because it's like your own internal GPS. It's a sign that essentially a boundary needs to be set with someone or with yourself, or it needs to be a boundary that needs to be reinforced, which is often one of the most difficult parts of this entire process. And I'll go into that in just a second. Now, setting boundaries can be really uncomfortable, and reinforcing them can actually be a lot harder. Now, just a word of warning, when you start setting boundaries, especially with other people, and you'll find this with yourself, you will get pushback. People will do all kinds of things because they do not like the change. They liked you who they were. They don't like you pushing back. They don't like you asking them to change. It can feel very uncomfortable. And when we start asserting ourselves and our boundaries with other people, we can actually experience all kinds of discomfort, from fear to guilt. And all of that starts to come up because we all want to be liked. We all want to feel like we're loved and we belong in some way. And we often, whether we know it or not, quite often will experience the fear of rejection, fear of judgment. And this really comes up when it comes to setting boundaries. Now, I know this because I was somebody who had no boundaries. No one really taught me about boundaries growing up. I didn't really have healthy modeling for what boundaries were. And the way it showed up for me in business in particular is I had a massive fear of saying those big words. And you'll notice this if you're someone who easily gets overcommitted, is those big letters NO. I struggled to say no. And so I said yes to too many things. And what happened was I ended up working all of the weekends, or I'd end up working the evenings late, or I would just end up doing lots of things for other people, but never things for myself. And I know one particular boundary that's even come up, and I'm not sat here saying that I'm perfect and have all this figured out. I still have to work at this stuff. One particular boundary I experienced was that I was checking email way too often. And I was checking email during my most productive time, where I typically do deep work, which is in the morning. And I noticed that I would check my phone first thing in the morning, and I'd go through the apps, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. Then I would check my email. And the thing that really started to bother me is that my day would almost be ruined before I'd even started, because something would show up in my inbox, or something would be said, or something would trigger me in some way. And that set my mind off spiraling in some direction that wasn't really productive to my day. So I made a decision that I'm not going to check any email. I have no emails that are that important that someone's going to die if I don't read them. I set the intention that, and the boundary that, I will not check my email until 12 midday and 4:30 in the afternoon. So midday gives me a chance to respond to anything that's like really urgent during that day. But it also means that at midday, I get to do all my deep work, my most important work before midday. So it doesn't throw that off, and that still gets done. And the reason I check it at 4:30 is just before I finish my day. It allows me to get full closure. It just means that I'm not thinking about my email in the evening, and I can then start to prioritize what I need to address the next day. And this is something that was uncomfortable for me and difficult for me, but I used a tool called Boomerang. It's a free Google Chrome plugin. And it just means you can pause your inbox. And eventually, when I found myself getting the urge to go and check it, I resisted. And every time I go to do it, because the inbox was paused, it would create enough space for me to snap out of it and get back to what I was doing. And eventually, over a period of time, I was able to build a new habit where I'm not checking my email first thing in the morning. I'm not checking my social media. I'm not checking my email in my best times of the day. And so ultimately, it's made me a lot more productive. Now, I just give you one type of boundary. And in my High Performance Club, it's something that we address, especially when it comes to focus. In a high performance focus toolkit, we have a series of boundary scripts. And some of those scripts that are covered are things like client relationships, because all my clients are normally higher achieving business owners. They have clients trying to communicate with them. They have clients not paying their invoices. They have clients which are pushing back on contracts, or the scope creep. So they need a number of boundary scripts, simple scripts that they can use, all of the words, all the language that they can customize to their own voice, so they can push back and assert their boundaries. We have time boundaries. This is a common one for people who are overcommitted, people who are lacking work-life balance, people who are burnt out. There's normally a time boundary issue or a deeper issue around getting intimate with their calendar, or getting intimate with what's really going on, because it's quite uncomfortable. Then we have cognitive. So these can be boundaries with yourself. So are you thinking about work when you're with your family? Are you thinking about work when you should be taking time for yourself? Now, easier said than done. You can, though, set boundaries with yourself and create some space between you and your work. Then we have digital presence. So people reaching out to you, communicating on social media, on email. You will have, I guarantee, received some kind of email. Tim Ferriss talks about this, where you set up an autoresponder and it says, This inbox isn't monitored throughout the day, but emails are answered between this time and this time. If there's anything essential, if you've got my number, ring me, leave me a voice note, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours or whatever that might be. So setting clear expectations around how you can be contacted, when you can be contacted, to protect your time. Now, just to give you some boundary scripts or some samples that you can use, and I'll give you a chance to get hold of all of the ones for the High Performance Toolkit in a moment. Let me just give you some examples. A time boundary. Something you might say in response to someone who's pushing for your time. I need to decline this request as my schedule is at capacity right now. This opportunity doesn't align to my priorities, so I'll need to decline. No justification needed, if you notice. My calendar is fully committed through the end of this month. Would it be possible to revisit this in 6 weeks? Digital availability. I check my email twice daily at 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. For urgent matters that cannot wait, please call and leave a voicemail or text. I only give out my number to my one-to-one clients. So if you don't have my number, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram here, and I give them a link. Thank you for your message. I typically respond to emails within 48 hours during the working week. I don't monitor business communications on weekends to protect my personal and my precious family time. So again, you can use it to establish what is most important to you and the people that you're working with. Cognitive. And this is a boundary with yourself. I can jot this work idea down quickly and then fully engage with it with my personal time. My mind deserves rest just as much as my body does. This is my time to recharge, so it's like an affirmation to yourself. Success includes being present for my own life, not just my business. So those are just some samples of particular boundaries and language that you can use. Now, if you want to get a copy of there's several PDFs with all of the scripts that I've gone through myself. Many of them I use myself that you can use and make your own. Just respond to this pocket coaching with the word boundaries, whether that be in a comment or an email, and I will reply with all of those PDF scripts and boundary files. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this parting question. What is a lack of boundaries stopping you saying yes to? The things that matter most to you in your life. If you've enjoyed this pocket coaching and you want to get notified about new pocket coaching and new releases, visit jwilliamscoaching.com/pocket, where you can enter your name and email address and sign up to get notified about new releases. If this is the second or 22nd time of listening to my pocket coaching, I want to thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for your time. I'll speak to you very, very soon. Take care.